I have 17 binders sitting in a storage unit. 17 three-ring binders, each one meticulously organized, labeled, cross-referenced. Every page in a plastic sleeve. Every document dated and signed. They cost a company $4.7 million. Let me explain. I worked as a logistics manager for Horizon Manufacturing, mid-sized facility, about 200 employees. We made industrial components, fasteners, brackets, heavy machinery parts. When I started, they gave me the employee handbook. Thick thing, maybe 80 pages. And there was one section they really emphasized during orientation: documentation procedures. "We document everything here," my supervisor said. "Every decision, every safety check, every deviation from standard procedure. If it happens, it gets written down." They gave me forms, templates, checklists, digital systems, paper backups. "Why so thorough?" I asked. "Liability," he said. "If something goes wrong, we need proof we followed protocol. Courts love documentation." Made sense, so I documented everything. Every single thing. The first 6 months were fine. I submitted my reports, logged my inspections, filed my safety observations. Management loved me. I was detail-oriented, conscientious, a model employee. Then I started noticing things. Small things at first. A machine guard removed to speed up production. Temporary, they said, but it stayed off for 3 days. I documented it. A forklift with a broken backup alarm. Still being used. Maintenance said parts were on order. I documented the delay. Required safety training postponed because they needed people on the floor. I documented the missed sessions. Nothing catastrophic, just shortcuts. The kind every facility takes occasionally. The kind that usually don't matter. Except I was documenting them because that was policy. My supervisor called me into his office after about 8 months. "Hey, quick question," he said, very casual. "These safety observation reports you've been filing, you're being pretty thorough." "That's the policy," I said. "Right, but maybe we don't need to document every little thing. Some of these are pretty minor. Maintenance delays, training schedule adjustments, not really safety issues." I pulled out my handbook, the one they'd given me. Section 7.3, I read. "All deviations from established safety protocols must be documented within 24 hours, regardless of severity." He smiled. Uncomfortable smile. "Sure, but use your discretion. We don't want to create unnecessary paperwork." "Is the policy changing?" "No, just use discretion." So I did. I used discretion to continue documenting everything exactly as the written policy required, because I'm a conscientious employee. Things escalated around month 10. We had a production deadline. Big client. Penalty clauses if we missed the date. Management was stressed. They started pushing harder. Longer shifts, shorter breaks. Maintenance windows cut. And the shortcuts got bigger. Machine guards stayed off entire shifts now, not just hours. Full 12-hour runs with exposed moving parts. Lockout-tagout procedures skipped to save time. Guys working on equipment that wasn't properly de-energized. The ventilation system in the welding area broke. They kept welding anyway. Fumes building up. I documented all of it. Every single violation. Date, time, witnesses, photos when I could. I submitted my reports to my supervisor. He stopped acknowledging them. I submitted them to the safety officer. She told me she'd look into it. Nothing changed. So I started copying the plant manager. That's when things got interesting.
The plant manager called me to his office. He didn't look happy. "We need to talk about your reports," he said. He had a stack of them on his desk. My documentation. Printed out. "You're creating a hostile work environment," he said. I stared at him. How is documenting safety violations creating a hostile work environment? You're undermining management, making people feel like they're being watched, questioned. The policy says document everything. The policy is a guideline, not a weapon. Should I stop following the policy? He leaned back, studying me. I'm saying you need to be a team player. Sometimes things don't get done by the book. That's business. We all make accommodations. Are you instructing me to stop filing safety reports? His eyes narrowed. I'm instructing you to use common sense. I pulled out my phone, started a voice memo. For documentation purposes, I said, can you clarify whether you're asking me to violate company policy by not reporting safety violations? His face went red. Get out of my office. I left, but I kept documenting. 2 weeks later, they moved me to night shift. No explanation, just a schedule change. Night shift meant no management oversight, different supervisor, fewer resources. It also meant more violations, because night shift is when they really cut corners. Machine maintenance deferred, safety inspections rushed, protocols ignored, and I documented all of it. I documented the forklift operator who wasn't certified but was driving anyway because they were short-staffed. I documented the chemical storage area where incompatible materials were stored together because they ran out of proper cabinets. I documented the emergency exits blocked by inventory because they needed the floor space. I documented the fire suppression system that failed its inspection but was marked as passed. I documented everything.
And then I started getting written up. First write-up? Tardiness. I was 3 minutes late one morning. First time in 11 months. Second write-up? Insubordination. I questioned a supervisor's instruction to skip a safety checklist. Third write-up? Poor performance. My productivity was below standards. Standards they'd never mentioned before. They were building a file. Classic retaliation playbook. So I documented that too. I documented every write-up. The dates, the circumstances, the witnesses, the pattern. I documented the plant manager's statement about team players. I documented the schedule change to night shift. I documented conversations where supervisors hinted I should stop filing reports. 17 binders worth of documentation. And then someone got hurt. Not seriously, relatively minor. A maintenance worker caught his hand in a machine that should have been locked out. Broken fingers. Needed surgery. 6 weeks off work. OSHA got called. Standard procedure for injuries requiring hospitalization. They sent an inspector. That inspector asked to see our safety documentation. Management provided their official records. Everything looked fine on paper. Inspections completed, training current, equipment maintained. Then the inspector interviewed employees. Someone mentioned me, the guy who documents everything. The OSHA inspector found me on night shift. She heard you keep detailed records, she said. I showed her one binder, just one, the most recent month. She read for about 10 minutes. Then she looked at me. How many of these do you have? 17. 17 months of violations? 17 months of documentation. Why didn't you report this to OSHA yourself? I reported it to management. That's the policy. Internal reporting first. She nodded slowly. I need copies of everything. I gave her everything. 17 binders, scanned and uploaded, every page. The investigation expanded. What started as a single injury report became a comprehensive facility audit.
OSHA brought in additional inspectors, specialists, engineers. They went through every system, every process, every piece of equipment, and they used my documentation as their roadmap. Every violation I'd reported and management had ignored became evidence. The machine guards removed for production speed, violations. The skipped lockout-tagout procedures, violations. The broken ventilation, violations. The uncertified forklift operator, violation. The blocked emergency exits, violations. The falsified fire suppression report, criminal. They found everything because I'd documented everything.
Management tried to blame me, said I was a disgruntled employee, exaggerating, fabricating. But I had photos, timestamps, witness signatures, cross-references to official maintenance logs that contradicted management's claims. I had documentation showing they'd acknowledged my reports and chosen to ignore them. I had recordings of conversations where supervisors told me to stop documenting. I had the write-ups showing retaliation after I refused to stop. The paper trail was perfect because I'd followed policy, their policy, the policy they'd trained me to follow. OSHA issued citations, lots of citations, willful violations, serious violations, repeated violations. The fines totaled $4.7 million, but that wasn't all. The citations triggered other investigations. State Environmental Agency found chemical storage violations. Fire Marshal found suppression system falsification. Department of Labor found wage and hour violations in how they'd manipulated schedules. The dominoes kept falling. The plant shut down for 6 months. Complete overhaul. Every system inspected and upgraded. 3 executives were fired. Plant manager, operations director, safety officer. 2 faced criminal charges, falsifying safety documents, endangering workers. The company settled with the injured maintenance worker, undisclosed amount, but his lawyer mentioned my documentation in the demand letter. And me? They tried to fire me, called it performance issues. I filed a whistleblower complaint, federal protection. They settled. 6 months salary, neutral reference, agreement not to challenge unemployment. I took it because I didn't want to work there anymore. Anyway.
The facility reopened after 6 months. New management, new procedures, new culture. They actually follow the policies now because they learned the hard way that policies exist for a reason. The 3 fired executives had trouble finding new positions. Word spreads in industry circles. OSHA violations, federal investigations, criminal charges. Not great for the resume. The plant manager ended up in a much smaller facility, took a 60% pay cut. Last I heard, he's obsessive about safety documentation now. Funny how that works. The operations director left the industry entirely, couldn't find work. The safety officer lost her credentials, can't work in safety management anymore. As for me, I got hired by a consulting firm. They specialize in safety compliance and documentation systems. Turns out my 17 binders made me something of a legend in compliance circles. Companies hire me to audit their procedures, find gaps, build documentation systems. I teach managers how to actually implement the policies they claim to follow. And I teach employees how to document properly. Because here's what I learned. Policies aren't suggestions. They're not guidelines. They're not flexible frameworks that management can ignore when convenient. Policies are rules. And if a company wants to write rules that say document everything, they better be prepared for employees who actually do it. Every conversation documented, every decision recorded, every violation logged, every instruction preserved. Because that paper trail, it's protection for the employee following orders, for the whistleblower raising concerns, for the person who gets blamed when something goes wrong.
Documentation is evidence, and evidence is power.
The company that taught me to document everything learned that lesson the expensive way. $4.7 million expensive, plus the shutdown costs, plus the legal fees, plus the reputation damage, plus 3 executive careers, all because I followed their policy exactly as written. So here's my question for you. Does your company have policies they don't actually want you to follow? Have you ever been told to use discretion or common sense instead of following the written rules? Have you documented it? Because if you haven't, you should start. Not to be vindictive, not to hurt anyone, but to protect yourself. Because when something goes wrong, and eventually something always goes wrong, management will look for someone to blame. And the person with documentation is never the one holding the bag. Leave a comment. Share your compliance stories. Tell me about policies your company wants you to ignore. And if you're in a situation like I was, where management is pressuring you to cut corners, document it. All of it. Buy some binders. You might need them someday. Thank you for watching. If this story helped you understand the power of documentation, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Stay safe, follow policy, and always, always get it in writing. Because the rules that protect the company can also protect you if you know how to use them.